and I got the opportunity. And I don't know who the heck called me, but they were having problems. Like they weren't qualifying, they weren't running good. And I was kind of known for qualifying well.
Right.
And so I got a deal with them. And I think it was, well, I know, not think, but it was Nestle and maybe Folgers or one of those coffee were on the car. And I still have the race suits. It was cool. And I have the die cast because my dad raced. I'm like, man, I'm in my first cup race, even though I was nervous as heck, even though I thought I could drive, but I didn't do very good because that was my first race because I was concerned just getting in the way of somebody or causing a wreck, right? Everybody's like, just be like, well, when you have that mindset to be too careful, you don't do any good.
The kids today, they don't worry about that
No,
anymore.
they don't.
I
feel like I paved the way for a lot of the younger guys. I was 18 in my first Busch race.
Wow,
I was the youngest driver in the Busch series until I think about 8 or 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And that was a big problem with my career. It's like, how's this 18-year-old qualifying top 15 in a Busch race and running top 10 at Charlotte and stuff? Is he ready? Blah, blah. It was a bit controversial, but I feel like I paved the way a little bit. And then Casey Atwood came in, right?
Yeah.
And he was next year, but he was older than I was when I started, but then he had better success than I did. But I felt like we kind of paved the way because back then all the drivers were in their 30s.
Right.
Bobby Labonte, all these guys weren't in, Rob Moroso was, 21 or whatever, but he got killed. And after that, the next youth was like 30. I don't even know if there was anybody in their 20s that was at that level, right?
Sure.
So, it was really cool to be with, to say I got to drive with Junie Donlavey, and he was such a great guy too, right? And it was a little bit hard because I was in the transition where we were doing a lot of weird stuff with race car stuff.
Right.
It wasn't the simple, 3,200 pound spring in the right front, like 14 in there. They were even higher than that back then. So they were we were crossing over into like the old school setup.
Sure.
Like new school, like crazy stuff.
Right.
There's so many. It's kind of because you've been around a long time too. There's so many. It makes my mind.
Oh, it's crazy.
The transition of the technology and motorsports and what we.
Yeah. It's amazing how young you were. I mean, man, the people you were racing for, the people you were racing against.